Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, my lovely wife Charlene Bollinger.
Hi there.
We are happy to join you today. We wish that we could be there in Arroyo Grande
Yes,
for
we do.
Prevention on Purpose in live, is that what, in person, in person. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but we wish they could be there in person. Maybe one day soon we will be, but
Yes.
we're happy to join you via video at this point. Thanks to Coach Chris for inviting us, and we hope that everybody out there is having a great get together. And like we said, maybe next time. But we wanted to
Yes.
talk to you about our mission with the Truth About Cancer, specifically how it got started, and address Breast Cancer Awareness Month, specifically women's health. We know that's the focus of the conference. So,
Yes.
Charlene, you want to share with the viewers a little bit about how we got started and what we're doing?
Sure. Absolutely. And Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we like to address cancer as a whole and specifically breast cancer. There are options and answers outside of the mainstream choices that you have, which are very limited and in some cases very damaging to the body. But we didn't know that in the beginning. And for us, the beginning into the cancer information that we know today was when Ty's father was diagnosed back in 1996 with cancer. He actually had a lot of stomach pain, and it was so extreme that we went to the ER with him. We thought it was gallstones, and halfway through the surgery, the doctors came out and said, "Wow, it's a cancer, and it's so advanced, and he's so young." And at the time, he was only 52 years old. And back then, all we knew about cancer was cancer equals death. And we were just hopeless. We had no information and no knowledge. And so, 2.5 hours after that midpoint, the doctors came out and said they had completed the surgery. They cut his stomach out, sewed him up. He had no stomach. They didn't sew him up properly. And 25 days after that surgery, he died. And we believed at that point it was cancer, but it wasn't. It was a botched surgery. He bled to death. They couldn't keep enough blood in his body. And without blood, there is no life. And he died. And that was our introduction into cancer. And 6 months after that time, we lost Ty's father's father. And then 6 months later, his father's brother and his cousin Glenn. And a few years later, we lost Ty's mother's mother, Grandma Helen, and then his mother's father, Grandpa D.E. And then finally, the straw that broke the camel's back was losing Grammy, Ty's mother and my mother in law. She was not only a mother to me, but my best friend outside of Ty. And that was quite a blow. And from the time that dad left this earth due to that botched surgery to the time we lost mom, it was 1996 to 2004. And we were researching the whole time. And we realized if we had information that we have today in the beginning, this would have gone down differently for our family. So we were determined, with the pain and the tragedy that we were rising up out of with this information, to bring it to you and everyone around the world. And so that's what we did. For the next couple of years, we wrote. Ty was a tax director working full time from 5 in the morning to 8 at night, coming home, writing the book. I was taking care of the children, put them to bed, and this was just a labor of love for us. And so we self published the book. We put it out there, and it just went to the top of the charts. And we sold hundreds of thousands of Cancer Step Outside the Box book. And then in 2014, the next progression for us was making documentaries. The Quest for the Cures. The Quest for the Cures continues, and now The Truth About Cancer, a global quest. We've also done The Truth About Vaccines, and next year some awesome stuff is coming from Asia, and that's going to be tremendous. So this is a culmination of all of our years of research and now interviewing and speaking together. It's our mission just to reach the ends of the earth and back again with the truth about cancer. And as we do this, we're meeting people around the world, all over the place, who have watched our documentaries or read our books. And today, after being sent home to die by conventional doctors, are alive and cancer free. And that's amazing to us that we've been able to have that impact on the world for life. And we see even God's purpose in taking our loved ones away, because he intended to save a whole lot of lives through the tragedy that we've been through together. So it's been a real joy. We've reached millions now through the documentaries, but we're not going to stop. There's billions out there, and we're going to reach every one of them. And we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, honey. I appreciate what you said, and she's right. Charlene's right. This whole mission for us resulted out of personal tragedy with my family. It's really not something that we got married and said, hey, 23 years later, we're going to be making documentaries about how to heal cancer. It wasn't really something that we had planned. God had planned it, but
Yeah.
we just didn't have any idea. But that's why this is a mission to us, and so that's why this is so important to us to continue to share the truth with people. And that's why we appreciate, Coach Chris, what you're doing, getting these conferences together so that people can be empowered with the truth. It is October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as Charlene mentioned. Some of the things that really shocked me as I began to research and learned about Breast Cancer Awareness Month was the fact that it's kind of largely a fraud. Not the people involved with it that are running for the cure or walking for the cure per se, but the whole organization is built upon, well, did you know, raise your hand if you know who started Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The initial idea was from a company, that Imperial Chemical Industries, ICI, which later became AstraZeneca. That was the brainchild of ICI. AstraZeneca, if you are familiar with the drug manufacturing process, they produce tamoxifen, which is the #1 breast cancer drug, which is known to cause secondary ovarian and cervical cancer, right? So it's bizarre that this was the mastermind, or this was the brainchild of one of the pharmaceutical companies that then makes drugs that cause secondary cancers in women. The funding for Breast Cancer Awareness Month is something that really shocked us as well. Once we looked at the actual numbers to see how much is actually donated from all these charities that participate. If you look at the American Cancer Society, the amount of money that they donate to charities is only about 15% of what they take in. The rest is...
Some are less. Some are far less than
some
that.
are way less, especially some of the children's charities.
It's sad.
It's very sad. So, I'm glad you brought that up. What we find is that it seems that a lot of the cancer charities are playing to the emotions that are evoked in people that have a loved one that they've lost to cancer or that they're losing to cancer in order to get them to donate. There are some children's charities that give less than 1% of the money that's donated in, that spend less than 1% in actual care to cancer patients. So it's really sad. So those were shocking things for us along the way. The mammography, it's kind of shocking that they use ionizing radiation to diagnose breast cancer when ionizing radiation can cause breast cancer. It's bizarre. It's bizarre that they use chemotherapy to treat a sick person's body when the sick person is likely sick because their immune system's been compromised, and chemotherapy can further compromise the immune system, and is a known carcinogen and is known to cause, many types of chemotherapies are known to cause secondary cancers. It's just kind of like we live in the matrix when it comes to cancer treatment. So we're trying to educate people about that. Those are just some of the things I wanted to share with you that we've learned along the way. I wanted to get Charlene to share with you maybe one of her favorite success stories, because the Global Quest, the Truth About Cancer, a Global Quest, is showing this month, and you'll be able to see some of these episodes. But I wanted Charlene to share with you maybe your favorite success story.
Sure, there's so many of them that it's hard to say my very favorite. Every story is a success, and I can think there's so many in my head, but I think that among the top, I've mentioned in the last couple of days as we've been talking to a few people about these amazing stories we've experienced. It's hard to choose a top because there's a few that I really love, but there's a woman in Russia that Ty was able to research during the Global Quest. So it is in the Truth About Cancer Global Quest, and we're airing that soon, and so you'll see it. I was
able to interview her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She was in Russia in the hospital with cancer, getting chemotherapy, and she was just on her last leg. She didn't have enough energy to even sit up. She certainly couldn't walk, and her family just had enough. They said, we just can't do this. They picked her up out of that hospital bed. They carried her out to the car. They took her to Riga, Latvia, and in Riga, Latvia, they have something called Rigvir, which is really highly effective at killing cancer cells and cancer and restoring the body. It's amazing, that stuff is. So she comes in, they take her blood, the doctor looks at the blood and says, this is the blood of a dead person. And they said, no, that's really the patient that we're going to look at here. And she was probably hours from death at that point. But they took her and they started treating her with the Rigvir, and within a week, she was up and walking. And within a year, she was cancer-free. And at the time that Ty interviewed her in Riga, Latvia, she was 5 years cancer-free. So our message to you and to everyone around the world is, as long as there's breath, there's hope. Cancer does not have to be a death sentence. There's always hope as long as there's breath in the body. We've seen it time and again. So many people just being sent home with no hope. Don't believe it. Continue to do your research and to listen to people like Chris. Follow us, The Truth About Cancer, and others. Just join us and share with your friends everything that you can, because the goal is to reach the world so that they don't have to be in the dark and make choices that would potentially take their life too early.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, honey. So again, we appreciate you, Coach Chris, inviting us to be out there. Sorry we couldn't make it, maybe next time. But in the meantime, God bless all of you, and keep the faith, because as Charlene mentioned, cancer is not a death sentence. There's always hope as long as there's breath. And there's just so many natural medicines that God has put here on earth that can heal. So it's just up to us to educate and learn about them. So God bless you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.